So we have the pleasure to be briefed today by General retired Yaakov Amidror. He is Anne and Greg Rossandorf Senior Fellow at Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. General Amidror was National Security Advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu and Chairman of the National Security Council 2011-2013. He served for 36 years in senior IDF posts, including commander of the military colleges, military secretary to the Minister of Defense, Director of Intelligence Analysis Division in Military Intelligence, and Chief Intelligence Officer of the Northern Command. He's also a distinguished fellow at the JISS Gemunder Center. He's the author of 3 books on intelligence and military strategy, Reflections on Army and Security, Intelligence, Theory and Practice, Winning Counterinsurgency War, the Israeli Experience. And today, General Amidror will speak about the war in Gaza. Amidror, it's your floor.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope that everything is okay in America. I want to begin with the description of the situation in Gaza before and not connected to the operation. In Gaza, there are 2 million Palestinians controlled by Hamas since 2006, when in open and free elections, the organization was elected by the people of Gaza, and immediately afterwards, the members of the organization collected their brothers from Fatah, shoot them in the knees, and push them from roofs in Gaza, and that was the end of the Palestinian Authority in Gaza, which since then have been controlled by Hamas. In the last few years, as it is known, Israel allows Qatar to bring into the Strip millions of dollars, and this is what is keeping the system in Gaza above the water, because the authority is not giving Gaza what they supposed to get based on the population they have, and Gaza is in a very, very bad situation. We are controlling the approach from Israel, of course, and we let the humanitarian needs to come in, and some of the goods, but they are more dependent on the route to Egypt. This is the way to go out and in. But if you ask me, the situation in Gaza, not connected to before the operation, I mean, is very bad for the people of Gaza. Again, 2 million people on less than 400 square kilometers. It's probably one of the most dense populated areas in the world, if not the first one. So this is Gaza. The operation is a result of decision which was taken by the Hamas organization around the 9th of May. They put an ultimatum to the Israeli government to change the policy in Jerusalem. What led to this decision? And here it's very important to understand the elements of the perfect storm which occurred during the 10 days before the operation. almost a year ago, Abu Mazen said that he is going to have an elections for both the parliament and the presidency of the Palestinian Authority. Hamas took it very seriously. Fatah didn't find a way to be united in these elections, and they ran in 3 different lists to the parliament. And Hamas understood, based on the polls and the sentiment in the West Bank, that there is a high chance that Hamas will win both the elections to the parliament and the presidency. And Hamas was very thrilled about it. From his point of view, it's the goal which is the most important one within the Palestinian society, to be the leader of the Palestinian Authority without all the obligations that supposed to go with it, for example, for the Oslo Accord and so on and so forth. In 30th of April, Abu Mazen canceled the elections. The excuse was that Israel said that it will not allow the people of Jerusalem, the Palestinians of Jerusalem, to vote in Jerusalem. So he said, if this is there, I'm canceling the elections. And Hamas became very, very frustrated because they understood that they are losing an historic chance from their point of view to lead the Palestinian Authority and to be indirectly the leaders of the Palestinian people. So that was a very frustrated week for Hamas. And the next week was begin with the Jerusalem Day, which Israelis are celebrating in Jerusalem, in East Jerusalem, in West Jerusalem, and that was on a situation that Jerusalem was very sensitive, and tension in Jerusalem was very high because of 2 different issues. One is a legal dispute between Jewish owners of buildings in Sheikh Jarrah, which is part of Jerusalem, which claim that they are owners of the buildings in which some Palestinians families are living. The Palestinians got the place during the Jordanian regime, and the Jews claim that this is private Jewish property before the 48 war, and they appeal to the court that they want the tenants to pay or to leave the houses, and the Supreme Court said that he will publish the verdict on Thursday, the same week of Jerusalem Day. So Jerusalem, and the tension in Jerusalem was very high because the Palestinians look at it from the political point of view, because here the more Jews will enter to East Jerusalem, to an area in which there are Jews, at least in the last 10 years, in property which was bought from Arabs many years ago. And for the Palestinians in Jerusalem, the tension was very high, not connected to anything but the dispute between the Palestinians and the Jews in Jerusalem. To add to that, this is the last week of Ramadan. Ramadan is a month in which the Muslims are fasting and they are celebrating the Eid of Ramadan. And every year, all around the world, these are very sensitive days for Muslims. Tension between Muslims and not Muslims is growing in those days. In Israel, we have an experience of more terror actions during this week of the end of the Ramadan. It's a very very, very sensitive religiously and emotionally for the Muslims. After a month of fasting, the mood is different. So you have Monday, Jerusalem Day. Thursday is the end of the Ramadan. Thursday is supposed to be published the verdict of the Supreme Court. And to add to all that, the end of the week, the Saturday is 15th of May, the day in which the Palestinians are mourning their disaster in 48. If you want, this is their Holocaust. This is their Holocaust day, because this is the day that Israel was established in 48. So in 10 days, between the frustration of the organization because of political issues, it's not connected to all this schedule of holidays. The tension because of Sheikh Jarrah dispute, the celebration of Jerusalem Day, the Nakba Day, all together in the same 10 days. And the tension was very high. Here, the Israeli police made some steps because of the tension of the Ramadan. They put some blocks in one of the gates to Jerusalem and entered to the Temple Mountain with a lot of force to contain the Muslims who are demonstrating there, throwing rocks and stones into the Wailing Wall, which is down the Temple Mountain. And riots begin in Jerusalem. Hamas, which its leaders are sitting in Gaza, was not connected at all to all this situation in Jerusalem. It was between the police there and citizens of Jerusalem. Again, not connected at all to the Gaza Strip. There was an argument within the Hamas. What should Hamas do? And the wing, which was led by the ex-commander of the military wing, Hamadef, won the argument, and they put an ultimatum on the table to the Israeli government, saying either you change your policy evacuating all the police from Sheikh Jarrah and Temple Mountain, or the organization at 6 o'clock Monday will launch rockets into the heart of Israel. That was a surprise for us because the assessment of the intelligence was that they don't have interest to begin a new operation in which they will suffer a lot. We had the tactical intelligence about their intention in their preparations to launch the rockets towards Jerusalem. So we prepared whatever was supposed to be prepared. And the beginning of the operation was the launching of rockets, missiles towards Jerusalem by the Hamas. Then came the Israeli reaction and all what you heard and saw in the newspaper. So here it is something which is very unique. Hamas decided that from Gaza, he will take the lead of the agenda within the Palestinian society, that he will be the defender of Jerusalem by acting from Gaza against Israel. And everything was kind of declaration of war by putting an ultimatum to the government of Israel when they knew that no government in Israel will accept the ultimatum. Now, after the operation, how is the right way to judge it? First of all, the goal of the both sides were not in the same level. What Hamas had in mind is a political goal to be portrayed after the operation as the leader of the Palestinians, the defender of Jerusalem, and the one who is making the agenda of the Muslim world, or at least the Arab world, by action. Not because someone picked Hamas to lead, but because Hamas is leading by action. In Israel, the goal of the operation was totally in another area. The goal was to eliminate as much as possible from the military capacity of the organization and to make the situation so problematic from the organization point of view that in the future they will be much more cautious and will not run for another operation in the next few years. If you want, it's something which we succeeded to do in 2006 in Lebanon, when Nasrallah came out after the operation and said, if I would know that this is the operation that I have to take into account, I wouldn't begin from the beginning, because in Lebanon it was the reaction to an operation of Hezbollah, who killed 3 soldiers. So that was in mind of the decision makers, to lead to a Lebanese situation in which the other side understand that he's paying huge price and get nothing, and this is why he is not ready to make the same mistake again. Remember, in Lebanon, we have a quietness since 2006, with one exceptional operation that was a reaction to what we did. Even when we bombed a facility in Beirut, they didn't react, because Nasrallah has in mind the scratch of the operation in 2006. That was a very bad experience from his point of view. So here there are 2 sides, the Israel and Hamas. Hamas is acting to achieve something politically, to change the status quo of the situation. And Israel is in another area. We wanted the status quo to rebuild and to eliminate part of its military capabilities as much as possible. At the end of the operation, what we can say is that the notion is that the sentiment is to say that Hamas is in a very good position. He was accepted by his action as the leader of the Palestinian society. He convinced the Palestinians, at least, that he's the defender of Jerusalem. He was ready to take the risk and the price for defending Jerusalem. And he succeeded to bring into the circle of riots the Arab Israelis. So here we have, first time in many years, both the Gaza, the Palestinians in Israel, and Jerusalem. Less success in the West Bank, which was relatively quiet, but huge success for me from the organization point of view as the new leader of the, without an election, of the Palestinian society or the Palestinian people. The truth is that it is too early to judge the results. Think about the situation that the Supreme Court will publish its verdict 2 weeks from now. I don't know what the verdict will be, but assume for this case that the verdict will be that the Jews are right and the tenant of the buildings in Sheikh Jarrah should pay or leave those houses. And the police in Israel will act and will force them to leave if they don't pay. What will be the reaction of Hamas? Hamas will resume the operation. If not, he is losing what's supposed to be his biggest achievement, the connection between Gaza and Jerusalem. Here, something bad is happening to the Palestinians in Jerusalem, and the organization doesn't react. And if the organization reacts, what will be the consequences when Israel will begin to bomb the Gaza Strip and destroy whatever was remain not destroyed before? So if you ask what are the achievements of Hamas for the short range, from the ceasefire was 2 days ago. In those 2 days, he looks like the leader of the Arab world and the Palestinian people. But 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, when it will be clear that they didn't achieve anything in Jerusalem and Israel is continue to be aggressive in Jerusalem, I don't think that anyone in the Arab world will understand why the Palestinians paid such a high price in Gaza, but in the same time didn't achieve anything. By the way, the visits of Jews in the Temple Mountain begin today again. This is the first test for the Hamas. Hamas didn't react. About the Israel achievements, here we have 5 sectors which I think should be, we should look into it. The first one, like in basketball, and you're very good in basketball in America, the defense. And the defense was very good. Hamas didn't succeed to surprise the IDF, not even in one element. It didn't succeed to initiate any operation against Israel or the IDF. We have 1 soldier which was killed from anti-tank missile cornet at the first or second day of the operation, and that's all. Only 1 soldier was killed in this operation. And all the attempt of Hamas to make something for under the water, from air, from tunnels, nothing worked. We succeeded to kill all these attempts and some of the terrorists which were part of the operation. So the defensive part was very good. Now 4 areas of offensive targets. One was to destroy the infrastructure of Hamas, so that Hamas will be in a less prepared for the continuation of the operation. If it will be invasion of the strip by the IDF ground forces, we will be in a better position to win it, and so on and so forth. We destroyed 100 kilometers of tunnels, which was one of the biggest secrets of Hamas. We showed Hamas that it's not just that we know about the existence of the tunnels. We know exactly where are they going under the ground, and we found a way to destroy it from air by kinetic long-range missile. So I think here in this section of destroying the infrastructure, the IDF should get 70 out of 100. Even
we don't see you, Amidror.
Even 75. Now you see. I'm concentrating on what to say, not how I looked in the camera. The second area was to destroy the ability of Hamas to manufacture missiles and rockets in the future. We don't know yet. We have to learn the intelligence, but the assessment of the experts is that we succeeded to do both, to kill the leaders of the project, the technical leaders of the project. We caught them in surprise in one place and we killed almost all of them. And to destroy the facilities themselves, probably we succeeded to destroy most of their facilities, both of Hamas and Islamic Jihad. And my assessment that here the IDF should get 75, 80 out of 100. That will take Hamas and Islamic Jihad a lot of time to rebuild this capacity. And the question will be, should we stop them by bombing them during the process after the operation in spite of the ceasefire? A good question with no good answer. The third area, which was very important for us to make a success, is to kill as many as possible members of Hamas and Islamic Jihad, and mainly the commanders. We didn't succeed to kill anyone from the highest echelon of both organizations, but in the medium level, the success was quietly good. And they lost some of their local commanders and experts, as I said, relating to the production of missiles and rockets, but also we killed very important people from the attacking branch of the cyber in Hamas, which is also a very good success. We succeeded to intercept and to kill at least 12 teams of which are anti-tank missiles, which in the past we failed to hunt. Now we have the good system, which procedures that allow us to kill them. So I think in this area of killing, all in all, I think that we killed around 250 members of Hamas and Islamic Jihad. The numbers are not known yet because they are still digging tunnels and they have to find how many had been killed. At the end, probably we will know. The interesting question is 250 out of how much? What is the number of civilians which had been killed? And here the story is more complicated. At least 20 Palestinians were killed by Palestinians' rockets and missiles, which landed inside the Strip instead of landing in Israel. 15% of what was launched by the Palestinians, they launched more than 4,300. Around 50% landed inside the Strip. Second, some of the civilians which had been killed is because actions which had been done by Hamas. One example, in Rimal, one of the richest suburb of Gaza, we destroy a tunnel, and a building which was near the tunnel collapsed into the tunnel. Probably they put a lot of TNT in this point, and when we bombed and destroyed it, the TNT became active and made a huge, how to call it, a big hole in the ground, and the house collapsed into the hole. Between 20 and 30 people were killed there. So if you take the 40, 50 people which had been killed by mistakes of the Hamas or actions of the Hamas, they said that they have 400 people, almost 400 people dead. So probably out of 350, more than half are members of Hamas and Islamic Jihad. I'm hesitating to say numbers here because we don't know the real number. We don't know how many had been killed. We don't know how many of them are members of Hamas and Islamic Jihad. We are beginning to make here the research. It will take time, few days, and we will have a better results, but probably the collateral damage is much less than, I don't know, the American numbers in Iraq or in Afghanistan, and it's not big. So at least 50 or even 70% of those who had been killed are members of Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and Fatah. here what the IDF should get is probably 50 out of 100. The last but not least sector is to prevent Hamas from launching rockets. Here the achievement is very, very low. We didn't succeed to stop them, but we compensate ourselves by having the Iron Dome, which intercepted 90% of the missiles which had supposed to land inside Israel, because this is a smart system. We do not intercept missiles that are not going into crowded areas inside Israel. If it is going to the sea or going into or landing in the street, in Gaza Street, or it is going to open places in Israel, the system does not intercept. The system made 1,300 used 1,300 interceptors with success of more than 90%. More than 90% of the missiles and the rockets which had been launched by Hamas into Israel and supposed to be landed in crowded areas where there are civilians or any facility which is important to Israel, 90% of those missiles had been intercepted. And all the damage in Israel, we have 10 civilians had been killed. By the way, 2 of them are Arabs. From all this number, the damage is not big. And this is a huge success of the Iron Dome, which allows Israel to fight without being under pressure because of the ability of Hamas to destroy facilities and to kill people in Israel. So all in all, I think that the IDF made a good job, with one big weak point is the ability to contain or to oppress the launching of the rockets and the missiles. Other than that, it's a good result. And the ceasefire came in time because the list of the IDF targeting systems, the list was very, very short when the president called the prime minister and asked for a ceasefire. So we had free 10 days in which we did what we thought we should do. And when the Americans called for a ceasefire, we agreed. The ceasefire is with no conditions. No connection to Jerusalem, no connection to the Arab-Israeli. It's Gaza by Gaza. What will be in the future? First of all, I don't know. But if I have to assess, Israel is facing 2 big questions. One, should we adapt in Gaza the policy of Syria, our policy in Syria, meaning that whenever we have any good intelligence about the other side efforts to enhance its capacity to manufacture weapon system or to get weapon system, we will destroy it immediately, like in Syria, and to take the risk of resuming operation. The second question is what to do in the future with the Qatari money, because now it's clear that Qatar brought in millions of dollars, and good portion of it went to Hamas and helped Hamas to build what the organization built in Gaza. The 100-kilometer of tunnels that we destroyed cost Hamas probably $500 million. It's a huge number for the state, huge number. And the question, what should we do in the future relating to this patronage of Qatar? It's a question. If we should stop them or not, it's a question. So now we have to see what will be in two areas. One, how long of what will be the time length of the quietness from Gaza? If it will be a long one, it means that it was a very successful operation from our point of view. If it will be a very short time, it's a failure. This is about deterrence. And the second question is, what is the ability of Hamas to manufacture new rockets and missiles? And that we have to see. And the third, which is the strategic one, the third question, which is relating to strategy, is what will be the connection between the results of the operation and what will happen in Jerusalem? Will we stop visiting of Jews in the Temple Mountain? Probably not. Today was the first visit after the operation, and Hamas didn't react. As I said, what should be done if there will be a verdict in the Supreme Court, and the police theoretically should take out the helping the owners of the buildings to get rid from the Palestinians who are living there. What will be the reaction of the Hamas, and so on and so forth? This is something that we can find, understand, and test only in the future. Time will tell if that was success or failure of Hamas. Militarily, they failed. But the goal of this organization was not in the military side, so it doesn't so matter if we won it or not. And we probably won it not in knockout, but in points for sure. And now I'm open for questions.
Yaniv?
Thank you for giving us your time. It's always a pleasure and a treat when you talk to us. My main question is this: in every security briefing or diplomatic briefing I've ever participated in with Hamas, it always comes down to the question of, why do we still share the earth with them? Why don't we decapitate the leadership and topple the regime? And the answer I always received was that there's a working relationship with Hamas. You don't know what the next generation of leadership would be like. Better know the devil that you know than the devil you don't know. So I'd like to know, from your perspective, if we can actually get rid of the regime and topple them, and if there's something better coming. And I also wanted to ask you is that that's what I want to know. That's fine.
I can tell you, not as an assessment, but as a knowledge. No one was immune in this operation. If we had the ability to kill the leaders of Hamas in Gaza, all of them, or each one of them, we would do it. It was a failure of our intelligence, that's all. I don't buy the answer that we have working relations with them. This is not the reason. The reason is that to topple and to destroy Hamas, you have to go with ground forces into Gaza Strip to conquer it, and then 3 years to clean it. And it can be done. The problem is from the sides of the equation. One is the price. It is not going to be walking into the market. It will be a real war in which we will have casualties. And then we will remain with 2 million Palestinians, to which you will have to give education, water, food, health, policing, and so on and so forth. Abu Mazen will not enter to Gaza, which will be totally destroyed, by the way, in such an operation. On the back of the IDF, and we will remain responsible for what's going on inside the Gaza Strip, but for 2 million Palestinians. Is it worth the price? I think not. And at the same time, you have to remember that we have much bigger problem in the north. And it will be wiser to keep our energy, capabilities, forces, whatever we can, to the test in the north and not to waste it in the south. If you ask whose interest is more than anyone else that Israel will enter to Gaza and will fight from ditch to ditch, from house to house, it is Hezbollah in the north and Iran in the east. They will be more than happy if Israel will be engaged in Gaza and lost its flexibility to answer to the challenge in the north against Hezbollah.
But what about Dahlan? My understanding was that he's more than willing to take responsibility of Gaza, whether bomb Mohammed Dahlan.
Mohammed Dahlan can speak about it. He doesn't have the ability to do it. He doesn't have the forces on the ground. And even Mohammed Dahlan will be more than hesitate to enter to Gaza. He's ready to go to Gaza today. But to come after Israel will destroy Gaza, I'm not sure that Dahlan will be there to help. Not at all. Now he's a nice speaker. He's speaking very nicely, but at the end, you know, I met Dahlan many times. In one of the occasions, he said, "General, leave Hamas for us. We know to deal with Hamas, and leave Hamas for us." At the end of the day, what happened? Hamas won, and Dahlan went to the Emirates, and Hamas killed all his people. So to trust Dahlan is something which I will not recommend it.
Eric?
Thank you. General, this is terrific. Thank you. Two quick questions. The first is, what, if any, impact has the change in American administrations from Trump to Biden and their change in policies vis-a-vis Iran and the Palestinians emboldened Hamas to go to war and maybe Iran to encourage them to go to war? That's the first question. And the second question is, how does the political turmoil in Israel, did it impact in any way any decisions that the IDF was able to take in retaliating against Hamas?
The answer to the second question is easier, none.
Good.
According to the Israeli system, the government in place has all the authority vis-a-vis the IDF. And I don't think that there is even one little decision which was not taken because of the turmoil in the political Israeli system. And remember, the Minister of Defense is Benny Gantz, and he is an authoritative position because he was the Chief of Staff, and he is not one of the funner of the Prime Minister. So they have to work together, and at least from what went out to the public, they worked good together. The first question, what was the first question?
The impact of the change in administration from Trump to Biden.
I don't know if Hamas, I'm not familiar with the details of the intelligence, but it will surprise me if that was mentioned in the argument between the two sides in the Hamas movement. If they said it's better to do it now when this is the president, I don't know.
Okay.
Sharon, please.
Yes, thank you for such a comprehensive and simultaneously humble assessment. It's so nice to hear someone say there are things we do not yet know, instead of everybody being convinced that we knew before the whole operation started what the result would be. So thank you, General. A couple of questions. We read that you were involved in some of the consultations with our Prime Minister. Would you care to comment at all on the relationship between our Prime Minister and the President of the United States as this unfolded? Secondly, would there be a difference if the PA and Gaza were a state in terms of what is permitted and what is not permitted in terms of prevention, deterrence, and striking back? And third, would you like to comment on the quality of weaponry? I'm in Netanya, we only had one siren, on the quality of weaponry and how this is a proxy war.
About the consultation with the Prime Minister, I'm not speaking about anything which occurred within the closed doors between me and the Prime Minister. Never did and will not intend to break this rule now. From what was published, I understand that the administration gave the State of Israel almost 10 days of free hand, and at the end, 10 days merged together two issues. One is that the list of the Israeli intelligence, the list of elements that should be destroyed was very, very narrow. They succeeded to destroy what was in the list. And the phone call from the president to ask the Prime Minister for a ceasefire, and from them, in this situation in which the professionals, the intelligence and the operational guys told the Prime Minister, we don't have any more good targets on the list, and so it was easy to the Prime Minister to answer positively to the president. I understand that after this ceasefire, the president said that America will help Israel to get back the interceptors. It's don't know what does it mean from dollars point of view, but in the MOU which was signed with the previous administration, Israel took obligation not to appeal for more money, but in a special situation after a military clash with the other side. So here is the situation, and according to the MOU, Israel can apply. I don't know what will be the amount of money which will be transferred to Israel, but it will be very helpful if we will get the more help to produce interceptors which we use in the operation. So this is about this issue. About the weaponry, I must say there was not even one surprise in the means and the munition which was used by Hamas. Not even one. We knew about their capabilities, we knew about their operational preparations and so on and so forth. So I don't see any significant change in their rockets and missiles capabilities. It is almost the same as the last operation. They have much more of them. And now the question is what Israel will do not to let them to advance in this area. And this is a very interesting question.
Winston.
Thank you, Ephraim. General, thank you so much. Very interesting afternoon. Could you speak just a little bit? Is there actually a risk profile of Hamas, Hezbollah, maybe Iran on the Syrian front, like some sort of coordinated risk that they would all come at it together? Is there any profile like that existing, and what would trigger them to coordinate and work together in an all-out war?
From what we know, there is no coordination for producing one big operation. And as you see, both Iran and Hezbollah didn't act during the operation. We know that Hamas is getting a lot of help got a lot of help from the Iranians and from Hezbollah. They were those who provide the know-how, materials, money, training for commanders, and so on and so forth. But I don't know about any coordination operationally which which make to the conclusion that they might, but theoretically they can, and that cannot be excluded. But practically, we don't see such a cooperation.
Is that primarily because they just know they can't win even with coordination?
No, it is because each side has its own interest and timetable, and to synchronize them, it's not easy.
Thank you.
Greg, please.
Yes, thank you so much, General. I think you've convincingly answered my initial question, was whether the mowing the grass strategy was going to be continuing going forward. It seems clear to me that that it is. Maybe there'll be some changes, but basically that's the state of play. So let me ask you this question, unless I'm wrong about what I think I just heard from you. I was wanting to ask you about Iran and whether this operation has been an opportunity for Iran to acquire useful and important intelligence about Iron Dome and Israel's defensive systems with respect to incoming rockets and missiles.
About Iron Dome, for sure, it will help them to understand the system better than before because they saw it in action, and this is something cannot be prevented. But remember that for the Iranians to intercept the Iranians' missiles and rockets, we are not using Iron Dome. We will use Arrow 2 and 3, and these are totally different systems. They are both interceptors, but totally different systems, capacities. Yes, but they are learning from each operation to be better in the future, and this is one of our challenges. Both sides preparing themselves for the next operation, hoping to be better than the previous one. And the test is at the end is if we are keeping the gap between us and them. If the answer is positive, yes, the gap is as big as it was or even bigger, we use the time smartly. If the answer is no, the gap is narrowing, it means that we are not using the time smartly, but Hamas is. So Hamas does.
Thank you.
It's a test in the future.
Mary, you want to say something?
Yes, and thank you, General. I remember in the early days of the Iron Dome on the American side, the discussions were whether to fund it or help fund it. And the belief was very well established that the US would help to fund it, but that it would never work. So I was particularly pleased to see its spectacular.
No. That's a big mistake.
Well,
We got from the United States of America more than $1.5 billion only to purchase more radar systems, munition, interceptors, and so on and so forth. Up till now, not connected to the day, during Obama administration, more than $1.5 billion just for that.
understood. My question is, the state of the Iron Dome now, are there enough batteries? Clearly you used a lot of your inventory, but what is the state of your inventory? How expensive is it to replenish it? How much of that do you think you're going to need from the US? And are there any vulnerabilities that you're now aware of that you've learned through this operation that you're either are a challenge or that you're confident you're able to meet?
Just to give you impression about the system. The system first interception was in April 11, 10 years ago. Since then, we upgraded the system at least 7 times. The system of 2011 couldn't deal with the numbers of missiles and rockets which had been launched in this operation, in which they tried to overload the system and they didn't succeed. We are learning from each operation. It will take some time to understand what's happened and to calculate and to understand all the numbers. but it is clear that the level of interception was more than 90%. And this is apparently very good ratio. I'm sure that within few months we will have enough information to upgrade the system again. To replenish the numbers, look, one interceptor cost depends what you take in between $50,000 to $100,000. You can make the calculation. We use 1,300. Can make the calculation. It's a lot of money. How much we will get from the United States of America, I don't know. The Americans gave us money, not for the R&D. The Iron Dome, unlike the Arrow and the David Sling, which are a co-project with the United States of America, Iron Dome is a pure Israeli system.
Right.
All the IP is Israeli. We got the money from the Americans to purchase more interceptors. We have a line in America in which we can produce part of the interceptors, and I'm sure that when America and Israel will speak and we will have a dialogue, money will come and we will purchase more interceptors in the future.
Thank you.
Any other question? Yaniv, yeah.
General, I wanted to ask you a question on the reactions that were starkly different from Erdogan in Turkey and our new allies in the UAE and Bahrain. Where do you see, based on their reactions being, one was very critical and the other one was very passive and interested in just watching how we were handling the situation. What do you make of that, and where do you see the relationships with both of those countries going?
Nothing new. Erdogan is an anti-Semite leader of Turkey, but he understands that there are interests. I give you a number. Israel, I think, is a number free trade partner of Turkey. We are buying almost 5 billion. We are spending almost $5 billion buying from Turkey. So this is the Middle East. He can speak, but at the same time, the relations continue. He doesn't like us. We don't like him, and it's okay.
So let me rephrase my question. Sorry, go ahead.
But you could see from the reaction of the countries with which we have an agreement that they are not so sorry that we are beating Hamas, because they know that Hamas is part of the Muslim Brotherhood. They are very much connected to Turkey. The Arab countries dislike Turkey and hate the Muslim Brotherhood, so it is well understood.
Is there anything that we need in our relationship with Turkey that can't be acquired in the Gulf?
That what?
That we can't reacquire with our new relationships in Bahrain?
Yes.
Or the UAE?
Geographically, for example, we are flying to the east through Turkey. We cannot do it through the Emirates. We are buying things that Turkey is producing, the Emirates do not. It's not that Israel cannot live without Turkey, but the trade is an important factor in our relations. Maybe the most important.
Greg?
Yes, just very quickly, General, I was hoping that Israel would be able to release the intelligence about the Hamas connection to the AP Al Jazeera building in Gaza that was destroyed. I understand that information was released to the administration, the American administration,
yes,
but it really hasn't been released here. It may be that I understand that lives would be at stake and it's just not possible to do it, but this would be such an important weapon against the media and its assault on Israel if you could release that information and put the truth to the AP.
I know that it was considered in the military system, and at the end, the decision was that it will be released only to the American authorities.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and hope to see you in Israel.